And welcome back as I continue my search for a missing, sensitive young man struggling to deal with, I'm guessing, an alcoholic grandfather. In Perfidious, Pete plays the vanishing of Ethan Carter. So, okay, Ethan, I'm with you so far. You're a young, impressionable young man living out here in the Red Creek Valley with your grandfather, who I think we can agree very definitely has a problem. People always say that denial is the first sign of addiction, but I feel compelled to ask, based on the evidence we've seen so far, what sign is it when your weekend consists of sneaking out into the wilderness to sit around the campfire, pound down a dozen bottles of whiskey, and then set up a series of elaborate and deadly booby traps in order to protect your hidden stash of booze from would-be hooch snatchers? Is that like the 975th sign that you may have a problem? And then, I've got a follow-up question. If that is the 975th sign, what in God's name is the 976th sign? You find yourself taking hostages in a liquor store because they're all out of Yukon Jack? How far down that slippery slope can you go? And by the way, California court circuit judges, I'd just like to point out, you can keep that particular piece in mind for the next time Kelsey Grammer decides to get hammered and go for a joyride. It would make a great public service announcement. You get him on TV, be like, "Hi, folks, I'm TV's Fraser Crane, reminding you that if you find yourself taking hostages in a liquor store because somebody else got the last bottle of Yukon Jack, you may want to take a deep look inside yourself and ask, do I have a problem?" I'm Kelsey Grammer, folks. The more you know. Da 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 da. Writes itself. Really easy. Still, back to the Ethan Carter thing. Based on the documents that we read last episode, it seems like Ethan was sort of trying to reach his hand out to his grandfather with, I'd like to point out, for a teenager, some remarkable tact and subtlety. Wrote a very sort of quietly subtle little story about how an old man had a drinking problem coming out into the wilderness to sneak drinks of sap while his house caught on fire and the whole village burned down. But it really, based on the dialogue we heard, didn't sound much like Grandpa was receptive to Ethan's subtle attempt at helping him. He just slapped his hand away with an empty whiskey bottle. I'm sorry. The one thing that does have me confused, though, here is the whole Vandegraff versus Carter thing. The game is not called The Vanishing of Ethan Vandegrift, which, based on the documents we read, it would suggest that Grandfather is a Vandegrift. But if Grandfather is a Vandegrift, how come Ethan is a Carter? I mean, there could be a very simple explanation. It's just that the Vandegrift side was Ethan's mother, and so Ethan took his father's patronym. He's got the dad's surname. So he could still be a Carter while his mom is a Vandegrift, and Ethan still spends some time out here in the wilderness with Grandpa Vandegrift, perhaps sharpening stakes for his punji stick traps. Hell, I don't know. Anyway, we've explored this area about as completely as we can, so let's go across the rickety bridge of doom here. See if we can make it, or whether we're going to get hit by a train Will Wheaton style. Actually, Pete, Will Wheaton didn't get hit by it. Yes, I know he didn't get hit by the train. I've seen Stand By Me. It was me making the jokes last episode, man. Come on.
Red Creek Valley seemed like a quiet, ordinary place.
Yeah, except for the pollen count. Look at the shit in the air here. Oh, my allergies are going to be a fucking nightmare.
And nowhere is really ordinary. Ethan warned me about that. Warned me not to be fooled by what I saw here. He didn't need to worry. I'd worked dozens of cases, hundreds. This would be my last one. Already I knew that.
So you have a vision of your own doom being imminent? Is it because of the pollen count in the area? You'd be like, huh, this case might not kill me, but my allergies. Oh, God, no, seriously, I'm suffering. Please, give me a Zantac. Zyrtec? I can't remember what the name of the allergy medicine is. The visuals in this game, though, are so good. The more I walk around, the more... What was that? You guys heard that, right? Is that a boat? Sounded kind of like a boat horn off in the distance? Or is it just the bridge creaking? Got a hydroelectric dam off in the distance as well. The fact that I can make out this level of detail at such a distance, the graphics in this game are really beautiful. Well, let's keep walking then. Anything on this bridge we can use our magic sense on to open a portal into another world where Ethan's grandfather is steadily chugging down Yukon Jack by the gallon? No? All right. Fantastic safety work here, by the way. OSHA is going to walk up to this and say, well, you know, one tiny little rope on this collapsed bridge held separate from the rest of the bridge by a string of what appears to be crepe paper. Totally seems legit. Yep, you guys passed muster. This is 100% safe. Carry on, fellas. No citations needed. Good work ensuring the safety of peoples everywhere. No bridge has ever been safer. This bridge is really high up. That's a long way down, son. You know, if a man had a drinking problem and realized that his grandson was trying to help him with it, but only that he had rebuffed him with physical violence and possibly killed him in one of his death traps, it would make a convenient place to hurl the body and then jump after in a, you know, sort of a accidental murder-suicide. Is manslaughter suicide a thing? I suppose it could be. Alternatively, Grandpa could have just gotten drunk and tripped over, knocked Ethan down one of these holes, because it's not like this tiny little string of crepe paper gonna keep anybody from falling in. Oh, what do you got? A string of crepe paper wrapped around some rebar? Yeah, it's good enough. Health and safety. Field day with this one. I'm standing literally right in front of the path of an oncoming locomotive. That doesn't seem smart. I'm just gonna sidestep a little bit. It looks old and defunct and probably non-functional, but what if it's got like a Carrie vibe? There is supposed to be a horror aspect here to Ethan, the Vanishing of Ethan Carter. And we've definitely gotten the supernatural vibe. I'm not so far getting the horror. Except for this pollen count, though. Talking about the horror, good sweet God. The people of this town gotta be suffering. Also, how come we have fall? Why is there this much pollen in fall leaves? Like, the pollen should be mostly in the spring and summer, right? What is all this detritus in the air? Where the hell is all of it coming from, and where's it going to? It actually kind of makes me want to sneeze. That's how good the visuals in this game are. I sort of want to sneeze just from looking at all this crap floating around. Also, does it really seem safe to leave a big, heavy object like this on a bridge that is this decrepit? It's questionable. Enter that? I really don't want to. That looks astoundingly dangerous. No, it's fine. Go ahead on there, Grandpa. Just climb on up there. Everything will be fine. Grandpa said it was safe, Ethan. Y'all go up there and play choo-choo in the cab. I'm sure. And then, you know, 10 seconds later, it's just crashing sounds and screaming. Yeah, so what are you? Blood? Animal? Human? Accident? Murder? Crankshaft. Fresh scratches recently used. Crank, 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 crank. Oh, somebody's really excited for the sequel to a Jason Statham movie. It's gonna be Crank 3. I don't know what the subtitle of Crank 3 is gonna be called. I don't actually even remember what the subtitle of Crank 2 was. Honestly, I was astounded they made that one. It was like Crank Full Throttle or something. I guess they could call this one Crank Heroin in the Eyeballs. Yeah, okay, can that go away? I'm beginning to wonder if maybe Paul Prospero doesn't have a problem. Whoa, what the shit? Dude, this is... These things seem to get... Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, we got like a little... I can see the crank. It is down on the shoreline. Okay, I mean, that definitely looks like a murder weapon. Lack of blood, but it is on the shoreline where the water may have washed it off. So, how do we get down there? Spin me around again, camera. I want to get... Okay, it looks like there's a path that leads down along the water's edge. Got it. Okay, so we want to find... Oh, I'm actually looking right at the crank. I think that's probably where it's lying. Okay, that's a really cool mechanic. So we got the crank, we got the blood. Anything else going on in here before we climb up inside? Boy, this whole detective thing is certainly a breeze when you've got supernatural powers on your side. I can see why Paul Prospero solved hundreds upon hundreds of cases. When you can just walk into a crime scene and have the hoary netherworld tell you everything you need to know, kind of takes some of the work out of it. Do we really want to drive this? I mean, I really don't. I don't. This doesn't at all seem safe. Like, not even a little, though. I'm gonna hit turn off. Just like to doubly make sure. Let's exit out of here. So, in theory, this train is drivable. Also, in theory, communism works. Well, nonetheless, we should probably go pick up that crank. That is our only real clue. Let's take a look at this blood splatter. I don't think that would be human blood, because look how low to the ground the initial point of impact. The splatter seems to go up, which would suggest down here where the blood is densest would be the point of impact. A person would have to be like kneeling or crouching down to get hit at that angle and have the spatter go up like that. I'm saying this is more like a dog or a cat or maybe a raccoon, possum, something along those lines. Also, for a person, it seems like there would be more blood. Like 5 liters of blood in the human body. How much blood's in your average possum, Pete? Shit, I don't know. What am I, a veterinarian? How do you know about the human blood thing? Well, let's just say I have some experience, you know. Let's just, you know what? Let's just not talk about how I know how much blood is in the human body. I'm just going to say it's a bitch to clean it all up. Leave it at that. What are these? Why are these posts out here? This is a dead end? Yeah, it's definitely a dead end. The foxglove is everywhere, though. How come all these plants are still in bloom if it's fall? I'm confused by the time of year. We've got fall leaves. I mean, they're just beginning to turn, so it's going to suggest that this is like maybe a late August, very early September. But still, the pollen count can't possibly be this high for that time of year. Who made this path and where does it lead? So we got 2 ways to go. We could walk down the path or we could walk down the tracks. I'm going to go blood on the track style because I'm a huge Bob Dylan. I can't even finish that sentence. Bob Dylan's music baffles me. It just sounds like an old man screeching into a tin can with a string at a recording studio. Hey, Bob, you ever considering improving on the audio quality of your work? I don't want to be firing shots, except for the fact that I'm definitely firing shots right now, but your music sounds like it was recorded on Edison's cylinder. I went down railroad tracks looking for the crank to the railroad car. When I found it, I found the corpse of my baby. It broke my heart. Oh. Bob Dylan, ladies and gentlemen, Bob Dylan. It's actually the second worst impression I've done this series. First worst being Jay-Z, of course. Oh, by the way, we should take a look at this thing up here and see if we can, like, keep another preview of the title of Jay-Z's next album. What's the next thing going to be called, Jay-Z? Still 31 over 39, huh? So still the number of times, still working that, huh? The number of times you could have cheated on Beyonce versus the number of times that you did. All right. Cut ties, untied. Tied. No blood. Rope. Yep, I mean, it's definitely rope. Can't interact with this anymore. Cut ties, no ties. So, tied? So, like, one half of this is severed, the other half is not. This runs under... That runs under the rail. Which, if these tracks were being properly maintained, I'd like to add, would be very difficult to do. Where's the rope go? Oh, well, it goes about 6.5 inches this way. Alright. We checked that over here yet. I want to get down to where that crank is. I have to see the sequel to Jason Statham's massive smash hit title, Crank. I want to know what happens in Crank, both of my eyeballs. Oh, well, okay, that's a shitload of blood right there. Well, this definitely could have been a person, and now that I think about it, the blood splatter that I was examining earlier with my Dexter Morgan-like analysis seems to be a little more apropos if this train was used to run over somebody who was tied at a fucking railroad tracks. The only thing then that begs the question is, why is all the freaking blood down here if they were tied to the tracks up here? Although one of these is cut, so maybe they escaped, tried to run, were staggering downhill in a panic over the, and then right over, blam, here comes the train-o. Inspect the blood, we probably should definitely do that. Rest of the corpse. Blood trail. Victim dragged away, crawled away. Well, they definitely went downhill. Severed legs. Okay, rope, severed legs. Got it. So this then is our legless victim using their arms to... Yeah, and we can definitely see like handprints here. So this is somebody dragging their own mangled corpse down towards the water. Here's the thing though, the train is up there now. So why is the rope above where they got hit? Because in theory, the train would have been traveling this way. The body is here. The blood was on the front left side of the train, which suggests it was traveling in this direction when the impact occurred. Impact would have occurred like roughly here, chopped off both their legs. That person drags them away. Why is the rope up there, though? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Wouldn't they have been tied where they got hit? Or wouldn't the blood be nearer to where they were tied? We get a mustache. This is a full-fledged, like, mustache twirling, tie the lady, the damsel to the train tracks sort of villain here. I'm a little confused. This tree trunk looks like the faces of two people kissing. There's definitely a man on the right kissing a woman with longer hair on the left. What's with the Picasso impressions in the tree trunk? We got a real, like, Rorschach kind of thing happening here. One day, I'll stand above this city when the gutters finally scab over and the blood and filth rises up. The people below are screeching, drowning in their own excrement, vomit, sex. And they will look up at me and shout, "Save us." And I will look down and whisper, "No." This little playlet brought to you by Alan Moore. Alan Moore reminding you to become a crazy serpent wizard today. Also, okay, this person, we're gonna rotate this. We can zoom. Oh, I stole a rock. Do I have an inventory? Can I have that rock back? I didn't mean to steal the rock. I wanted to look at it some more. Is there... Okay, I guess the rock is just with me forever. Well then, didn't mean to do that. But my question is, how tough was the motherfucker that got killed here? Tied to the railroad tracks, legs cut off by a train, dragged himself, in theory, down to the shore, had his head beaten in with a rock that still wasn't enough to finish the job, so they had to whack on him with the crank to the train for a while. This is a tough son of a bitch, whoever it was. Also, I can't help but wonder what the hell any of it has to do with the fact that Ethan Carter is missing. How does any of this tie into Ethan whatsoever? He's a missing young boy. Unless I suppose he was the tough son of a bitch who got run over by a train, dismembered, mangled, and dragged away. I'm going to fully explore the rest of this area down here. Although it seems like maybe it goes on for a ways. Or do not enter signs. Well, that's... okay, typically bad. Right, that appears... actually, you know what? That appears to go on for a ways. What about this way? Can we go any further in this direction? I'm going to guess this is not traversable. So we're blocked off here. So whatever lies that way. We can go that way, though, and there is another inspect moment. You know, I want to inspect you, but I also want to double back a minute. We got to go follow... I mean, we can't not follow this large, obvious, and powerfully painful blood trail. What is this? More things to inspect. I'm coming back. We stopped at severed legs. I'm going to follow the blood trail. Next clue suggests we should follow the blood trail. Also, don't get any on you, Prospero. You're going to wind up being a suspect. For this blood to still be here, by the way, this would have to be a fairly recent... Oh, well, never mind. There's just a fucking corpse lying here with no goddamn legs. Well, Vanishing of Ethan Carter fucking solved. I mean, it wasn't a difficult mystery, but here we go. Blood loss, head trauma, all of these are reasonable. Oh, yes, touch. That's the fantastic idea. Yeah, let's touch the mangled, brutalized corpse. And also potentially contaminate the evidence. Sure, why not? Wait, what? I was going to say, I didn't get a good look at the death scene here. What's going on? Can I move this or do anything with it? No, it's just like a wiggling pulse of whatever that is. Okay. There's a man lying in a gutter, road, ditch. This path goes up and around. Okay, we could come back and go that way. I still want to go down and get the crank. Gotta get my Jason Statham on. Yellow stuff on the rocks, which looked like a handshake, but is actually probably just lichen. I've got Rorschach syndrome now. I'm seeing shapes and patterns where shapes and patterns don't necessarily exist. My brain's just struggling to make meaning from the chaos at this point. This is gonna lead down to where the crank is, though. It goes down by the shore, which is where our vision told us that the crank was. This looks to be the right sort of area. Pathway continues on beyond where we were as well. I'm digging this mystery. What the hell's going on? There's a lot of nefarious shit. Also, who the fuck was the dead guy? I don't mean to call your investigative chops into question here, Paul Prospero, but maybe you can, I mean, you were already touching the corpse and violating the sanctity of a crime scene. Maybe, just maybe you could have pulled the guy's wallet out of his back pocket to figure out who the hell it was. Call me crazy, but why the shit would you not do that? In for a penny, you might as well be in for the whole pound. Am I right, dog? Shoreline, rocks. Our crank should be around here somewhere. There it is. Hello, crank. Okay, we can zoom this. There's blood on the crank. So, yeah, that guy definitely... I mean, we should go back and give that dude props. That guy was a tough son of a bitch, man. Head bashed in with the rock, run over by a train, legs chopped off, head smashed in by a rock, and then this guy still had to beat him with a train crank in order to kill him. There's more of that yellow. That's just like some kind of sulfurous lichen. That's what's giving it the yellow color. Is there anything else along the shoreline here? Doesn't really seem like it. The gentle lapping of the water is very soothing. Paul Prospero, by the way, give the guy credit for just keeping his cool in a crisis situation, finding some legless bludgeon dude just lying by the side of the road, and he's like, man, it doesn't even merit comment. Like, I don't even feel the need to remark upon the fact that somebody fucked this dude up and then just left him here. That's a cool customer, our Paul Prospero. He's like, yeah, you know, whatever. Just another dead guy. Paul Prospero. You've seen one dead guy. You've seen them all. Hundreds of them. Thousands of them. Every single day. People dropping dead. Dying like flies. A callous disregard of nature for its own creations. Okay, so can we... Oh, we can sprint. Alright, we should be doing more of this then. So we've got the crank. We could go back up by where the train is, apply the crank, and see what happens. But based on the relative condition of the tracks, that seems like an extraordinarily bad idea. What do we got going on here? This path just goes both directions. Yeah, this is back to the dead guy. Okay. Give him another poke. Still, okay, I mean, still nothing new. So we didn't go this way last time. We got more inspection targets up. Okay. Well, they really want us to inspect, so let's inspect. Continue delving the depths of this mystery. I saw this twinkle and I thought maybe it was something inspectable, but I guess not. Is this writing? Wow, I've really gone into full Rorschach now. I'm like trying to attach significance to things that probably aren't significant. Is there any... no more blood? No more blood. Okay, what's this? An old gas can. Let's check it out. Diesel fuel, gasoline. If it's a train, it's probably diesel fuel. Somebody dropped it because they were in a hurry. Jimmy the Legless guy is up there. Okay, got the canister. What's going on here? Dried grass. Rectangle shape? Rail car from the bridge. I mean, the rail car is up there. Yes, rectangular shapes are everywhere because humans really tend to like right angles. What am I supposed to be looking at here? I mean, I already inspected the crank thing. We did this first. We could go back to this? Yeah. So do they want me to go back to the rail car then and apply the crank? Is that what they want? What do you want, Ethan Carter? I mean, there's another inspection object right down here. I would feel remiss if we didn't go inspect it. Plus, what are we going to get if we drive that train? It's going to fucking derail when we get it down here because the tracks are all ruined. This place is all busted up, dog. We can't drive on this. That's irresponsible. Rock, divot, fresh dirt. Rock, fix. What the hell did that do? I mean, I put the rock back. So that's where it came from. So this guy walked down. Why did he just beat him to death with a crank? Why did he walk down here, pick a rock, get up and walk all the way back there? Or maybe he picked up the rock first and was planning to bludgeon him, and then the guy got hit by a train? This is really confusing. The narrative here, the storyline that they're trying to tell doesn't necessarily go together that well. Some of these things don't make sense. It's like a Bill Cosby's picture pages kind of thing. One of these things is not like the others. One of these things does not belong. I really feel like the game wants us to go... They really want us to go crank. Let's go crank the thing. I'm curious to see what happens. Also, you know what? This is a potential chance to find out if the Vanishing of Ethan Carter actually has a fail state. Can we die? Because if we can, killing ourselves on this train seems relatively likely. This is a really big world. Okay, let's go back to the train. We're following the clues, but so far our clues have led us to exactly one dead guy who we don't really seem to be that fucking interested in. Again, the guy is dead and didn't even warrant a fucking line of dialogue, Prospero. I accused you earlier of being a cool customer, and you are, but you know what? It seems like maybe I should also accuse you of being a callous son of a bitch. A man has been brutally slaughtered up here, and you can't even spare a line of dialogue for him. That's taking the strong silent type to a whole new level, Prospero. Also, do you think Prospero felt a lot of pressure based on his name? I mean, his name is Paul Prospero. Do you think he felt like he was chartered by his parents to succeed when they assigned him that whole Prospero handle? Like, what if he turned out to be a bitter failure like Perfidious Pete? Isn't it just that much worse because his name is sort of synonymous with prosperity? Or I guess his name is Prospero, so alternatively it could be not synonymous with prosperity, but synonymous with a corrupt noble who tried to sell his daughter into slavery to get his title back? Pete, did you just make a reference to The Tempest? Yes, I did. So we're spinning the blood-covered crank. Okay, well, we did it, I guess. This seems like a horrifically terrible idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's see if we can die. Will the game let us kill ourselves? No, it will not. Okay. All right, then. Well, I mean, I didn't expect it to, but I was kind of hopeful that it would. I don't like it if this you're supposed to be, you're priding yourself here on being a narrative game that doesn't hold your hand, Ethan Carter. You know what? You know what's not holding my hand? Letting me drive this train straight off a rickety old fucking bridge. That's certainly not hand-holding. On the plus side, you know what? This train does make moving about the world slightly easier. It also allows us to recreate the murder scene with remarkable alacrity. We should stop then roughly when we get down to about here. Also, how the hell is this train still functional, by the way? Who's going to leave a piece of equipment like this that has at least a large functioning diesel engine? Because, hey, those things aren't cheap. Who's going to leave this out here along this abandoned stretch of rail track? Like, somebody would have come and gotten this thing by now, if for nothing else, just for the salvage, right? I'm going to do the rail car thing again. Does it make me... Yeah, see, it makes me look over here now. It said something about rectangle shapes, but... Is this where they fueled up the train? So maybe they put the diesel in the car right here, had their victim strapped to the tracks up there, but again, the rope and severed legs thing just doesn't make sense. I'm as confused as I've ever been. Under construction. Well, not for some time, I would guess. And what is this? Oh, this is way bigger now. So the more pieces of the puzzle we put together, the more likely we are to get the thing that allows us to recreate what happened. Aha. Very interesting. All right, well, I'm really enjoying the Vanishing of Ethan Carter here, and I gotta say, I'm gonna have to wrap this episode up, even though I kind of don't want to. I want to just continue exploring the mystery. What's going on here? There's so much to know, so much to do, so much to see, but we're gonna have to do it in a future episode. Plus, I really got to get back with Granddad's Lou. If I'm not back with the bottle of Yukon Jack, it's only a matter of time before that son of a bitch starts taking hostages. If you enjoyed the episode, feel free to drop a like down in the comment section. Support really does mean a lot. If you'd like to see whether or not I successfully defuse a hostage crisis, might consider subscribing as well. Post new episodes of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Right now, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again soon.